Alright, today's video is going to be taken from one of the notes that I had actually made uh, actually well over a month ago. This note actually sort of is very similar to what I had spoken about yesterday, where I talked about this concern over uncertainty, almost needing to find absolution when really I'm looking strictly, or most importantly, simply for resolution. I'll sort of read my notes now. Prepping for videos makes me feel present. The thought of recording these videos and needing to feel I can completely record and not miss anything insightful is like ripping a bad band-aid. But the satisfaction and fulfillment of finishing recording and feeling like my day, beyond simply clocking in and out of work, has truly been meaningful and worth something. I feel the same way before I sit down to plan what I'll say. I don't know how to let my thoughts flow from my head to paper to pen, and that makes me feel anxious. But once I am present with my notebook, some time and no other thoughts, worries, it just seems to flow. Having finished my notes, I feel as though it is ridiculous to have been anxious about the time. It feels ridiculous as though I was anxious having begun once I had actually finished. And that's the same when it comes to making these videos. So when I actually get ready to press the red button and press record, before I do, I'm always a little bit, I think I'd let myself tell myself that there's a form of anxiety, that I am not sure that I'll get everything insightful that I want to say out. Much like what I talked about, was it actually yesterday as well? Yes, it was, where I talked about how, no, it's actually the day before that, where I talked about how I was holding on and keeping a hold of things that I would have otherwise said that was insightful in a conversation past when I am in a present conversation. And because I'm holding on to that, I actually don't have room to open myself up to that present conversation, where I am concerned that I won't get everything out. And if I don't get it out now, as I was talking about yesterday, I don't know if I'll ever get it out again. And it's sort of a funny juxtaposition to really think about how I kind of forgot really about where I had been over by the 7th. I would have made what I'm talking about right now in these notes that I'm reading out loud. That would have been the 8th video that I had made. But things had actually happened that night to make it so that I had to shift my priorities. And it's sort of unfortunate that I completely forgot that I got to a point where I was starting to feel a lot better, where I had been fixing a lot of the issues that I was becoming aware and present of. And over the last month and 2 weeks, where I had actually fallen off of this, I'd gone back to baseline. And it really is an awful shame. The thing that I need to remember is I need to trust and have faith in the process, for when I am in the moment, I can be me. When I'm thinking about the future moment, before it is my present, when I'm thinking about the future before I'm actually there, when I'm thinking about the future before it is something I have any control over, before I can presently deal with it, I am afraid of myself, that I won't be good enough, because in the present moment, while I think about the future, I am doubting the potential and I'm doubting the belief I currently have in myself. I am so caught up worrying about what's going to happen that I'm not present. And I actually was rewatching one of the videos that I had made when I'd first started making videos, where I talked about this. I believe it was one of the first videos. It was actually a really insightful point I'd made, where I had sort of, actually, it was only really while I was recording these videos where I'd really illuminated myself into understanding this sort of, to really morphing it into something that was understandable, where I realized I was making problems of situations. I was creating problems in scenarios and circumstances that I would find myself in when there was really no problem at all. And then I would sort of realize that I would almost subliminally tell myself that I was a problem in it because I created one out of nowhere. And very much when I'm thinking about what I need to do, say for example, in an hour, but I have things I have to do right now. If my mind is there, I'm not here. And if I don't get this done now because I'm focused on what's going to happen, well, how can I get this done right now? And if I don't get this done right now because I'm thinking about the future, well then how on earth, based on my track record of not completing the things that I need to do in that time, in that moment, because I'm so caught up on being prepared to move to the next thing before I need to sort of really consider thinking about moving to that next stage, to that next thing, that next matter. How can I tackle that? How can I finish that matter, that problem, that and actually get to a solution, find a resolution, or actually be able to simply deal with the matter if I can't finish and deal with what I need to do right now, today? And all I have to do is really just be present and deal with it and not be caught up on what I have to do tomorrow, because that isn't today. They both are one the same. To worry about standing sure and standing in a way that I am present and open and confident and willing to deal with, whatever I need to do for that day. Say it is, something as simple as me needing to reload, unload the dishwasher, doing laundry, sweeping up, cleaning the floors, to, needing to do something at work, to having to worry about a significant, large sort of life, a very influencing a life matter. If I am not able to be present with what I am trying to do, well then I never can be, because I never will be. I am not intentionally trying to be that way, even though that's what I need to do to get the job done. I must remember that who I was in the past, who I am in the present, and who I will become in the future, who I believe I will become, are all the same person. To believe in one is to believe in them all. It sounds a little corny. What's the Lord of the Rings? The Lord of the Rings quote: "One ring to rule them all." I actually don't know. I actually haven't watched Lord of the Rings, but I believe that's the quote. For me to not be firm and still and comfortable and present in one, in where I am, I cannot really be able to look ahead and be sort of comfortable and be sure of what lies ahead. And I cannot look back and really be sure that what I did was to the best of my abilities either. There's this quote from Lao Tzu. I believe this is the quote. At least this is how I had sort of understood it. It was very simple and very concrete and very foundational of a saying, that if you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you're living in the future. And if you are present, you are living in the moment. Or if you are at peace, you're living in the present, in the moment. And sometimes we just have to be reminded, sometimes I just have to be reminded of that matter, of that fact. That if I am so caught up on needing to ensure that what will lie ahead will be great, that I'm not actually keeping track of what I have right now, I put myself in a lot of risk to actually derail myself from what I could achieve. And if I'm so focused on questioning, or if, say, I'm not present in the moment and I'm worried about the future, well, then clearly the memories that I will have had in the past to actually validate and verify my ability to deal with things and my assurity, my when I say confidence, I don't mean, to be like a really outgoing person, but to be certain and fulfilled in myself. How can I look back and know that I have actually done things that I've said I would, and I am the person that I say that I am, that I've proven in the past that I have done the things that I said I would do. And if I haven't done those things because I wasn't the present, I was thinking about the future, I was anxious, and I'm trying to look at my past to validate I have what it takes to really do what I need in the future, well then, at the same time, I'm sort of everywhere but nowhere at the same time. I'm sort of blinding myself to what is right in front of me, and I'm worried about what's to the side of me, when what I really need to look at is what's straight ahead. I think that might actually be how I need to really think about it, is not to be so concerned with trying to make sure that I see everything, but at least I have, in a sense, this tunnel vision. I block out what has happened, and I am not concerned about what will come, because that will arrive at the bend. I actually think that's quite interesting sort of point. And again, that's something that for the most part I've only come up with on the whim as I'm filming this video. So even like what I was talking about yesterday, this concern about ensuring, or even what I was concerned about, the sort of anxiety that I had back over a month ago when I was going to film my last video. Clearly, there's no point in being anxious. I was acknowledging that back then, that, this sort of almost trepidation that I'd have was very much like ripping off a band-aid. Like, it's not going to be pleasant. And the longer and longer you wait to slowly peel that band-aid off, actually the more uncomfortable it's going to be. And as soon as I just rip that band-aid off and I get right to it, I can move on. I can actually get to where I need to go. I can get more things done. I can deal with more things. I can move on to the next thing that has to happen. Or I can actually, after getting that band-aid off, I can actually go and enjoy myself now. I can get it rebandaged, or whatnot, depending on how I want to take this metaphor. I'll keep that there. But yeah, I just need to make sure that I am not worried about how it's going to turn out, but to be able to be right here and begin. Because if I have that trust in myself, if I am really here and I'm open and I am present to let what needs to be said, to let what will arrive in my head come at its own pace. What I have seen and what I have proven to myself through making these videos is that it will come. And if I am concerned about its arrival, and I'm sort of trying to make sure that I'm sort of trying to create waves, trying to sort of, I think probably the simplest metaphor I can come up with on the spot would be like if I am trying to have, say I am in a pool of water, and I've got this object that's sort of a little further away, a little out of arm's reach. And what I need to do is just wait for the flow of the wind to bring that object to me so I can grab it. But what it seems I'm trying to do, what happens when I am somewhat anxious, and again, I don't like saying that word to myself either. That's something I'm going to touch on, I believe, tomorrow, where I talk about how it seems that I have been listening to myself rather than talking to myself. I'll leave that for tomorrow's video. But, with the thing that I need to have come towards me, I'm like trying to sort of splash it with water, trying to force it to come to me. But all that happens when I sort of force my hand to make, to sort of try and get the object to move closer towards me, it actually causes this ripple effect and causes the object to move further away. And if I were to just sort of stand still, be there, be present, and let sort of nature take its course, let that wind blow it to me, before I know it, it'll be in my hand, and I'll have received the thing that I wanted all along. It just comes down to trusting myself. And that actually also will be something that I will talk about in not tomorrow's video, but the day after that, the video that will be coming out. I've already sort of got that set. At least I've got that set to really think about. I haven't got too much written down now for it. But those are key things that I know I need to discuss, that I need to really conceptualize, and matters that need to be resolved. And I can only do that when I'm in the moment, being prepared to deal with it, instead of being worried about when I'm going to give myself time to do it. Because when I do that, I'm not able to do anything else. I'm not doing anything else to the best of my ability, which means that I'm not giving myself, I'm setting myself up short. I'm not actually getting myself into the best position to make sure that when I am in that moment, that I'm fully present to tackle the matter. And it isn't just about, about this happening once and it being an issue. If this is sort of how I'm treating things, if this is my lifestyle and my mentality, and this is how I'm living my life, whether I have acknowledged it or not, whether I believe it or not, whether I want it to be the way I live my life or not, I'm not setting myself up to really be able to deal with the matter. And it can only be dealt with at one point at a time. One thing can be dealt with at one point at a time. I can't do two things at once. There's actually a lot of science on this. Your brain, is it the brain or is it computers? I think it might be computers. That with a computer, it can, at least this might have been from a few years ago. Nowadays with AI, it's obviously changed, but the whole landscape's changed. But with traditional binary computers, they can only do one task at a time. If you let it do one task at a time, it'll do it very, very well. It'll be very efficient and effective if it has really sound programming. And all I have to do is just intend to rewire my programming. That's what these videos are going to be all about. It's about rewiring and reprogramming myself to give myself the best abilities to get what I need to get out from my head, from my body, onto a camera, so that it's been discovered and its resolution is concrete, even if it isn't absolution. That will take time. Okay, that's all for today. Take care.